Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be our third video in our Hawk Models Hodad Making the Scene series. So I decided not to bore everybody with it, and I just went ahead and primered all the parts. They all turned out pretty nice. Everything looks good. It's all covered, looks gray. And the best part is it has actually uncovered a few items that I need to work on, which gray primer will do for you. His finger still needs a little bit of sanding. His knuckles need a tiny bit of work. And that's perfect. I mean, you want to catch that now. You don't want to catch that when you try to put color on there. So that's great. And we'll work on that while we do some other stuff. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to start out by spraying color. Just basic colors on everything. So for this, I'm going to do it in this RAL 1002 Sand Yellow. And that needs to be shaken up a tiny bit more. But that's the color I used on the Surfer Girl, the Hawk Models Surfer Girl I did before. So that's going to be the same base, and then all the bases will be all the same color. And that actually looks so good, I'm not doing anything else with it. I might do the clams. I might highlight those, but that'll be it. And then the next one out is going to be our 817 white, just our basic white. And I'm going to do that on this, just his body. And then I'm going to do it on this because we need to do that coat in white. So that'll be that, and that'll be the first thing we start with. So let me get this all prepped up and we'll get started on that. Okay, so you want to make sure you get these shaken up as much as you can. You really can't overshake paint. Okay. Alright, sorry, I gotta turn on this. I know that makes a bit of noise in the camera. Let me get this. Okay. So I'm gonna just come in and just cover this. Now I'm painting this with my Pache. It's a 0.5 millimeter. It's a 0.5 tip, and I'm spraying this at about 30 pounds because I'm kind of pulling back on the trigger a bit, and I really want that paint to cover. Okay. See, I'm putting out a lot of paint. I mean, I filled that cup up already and it's emptied out. But, you know, I mean, you gotta get this thing. Okay. I want to touch up right there, right there, and right there. Okay, so that is done. Set that right over here. Let that dry and we'll be good to go. So let me clean the airbrush out. We'll get the white out. Okay, now we are ready for the white here. So like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, if you figure out the steps that you're going to take to paint, you can kind of make it where you're going to be able to follow them up and get into detailing or decal work or whatever you need to do immediately after. So these are kind of fun ways of kind of honing a skill. Okay, so now we just got to do Pelican's body. So on this, I'm actually not trying to do them super totally white because a little bit of that gray sticking through kind of looks good. We'll put a wash on them, highlight those feathers because those are beautiful. I don't know if you can see that in the light or not, but they're molded really nice. Do his eyes and stuff. These things are cool. Now for his coat, which we do want absolutely white. I didn't realize that had fallen off like that. Okay. So this we're just gonna so on this, the way I'm doing this, so I'm just going to spray his coat white, and then we'll come back in a little bit later when we need to, and we will mask it off, and we'll mask off his coat, and then we can spray. Then we can spray like his shorts and where he's going to have the skin for his chest. And that'll be easier to do with the coat painted than to try to detail those out and then paint the coat, I think. Okay, cool. All right, we got them. So there's that. So, yeah, except that just swung around and clipped that pelican, which is fine. We'll just paint over that, and then we'll come back and we'll put a decal over that. So let me get the airbrush cleaned out and we'll do some other colors here. Okay, so we got a color figured out for his skin. I'm using RAL 8024 beige brown, super dark. I wanted to do it so he looked like he was, you know, doing what Hodads do, hanging out at the beach bugging people. And if you don't know what a Hodad is, it's an old surfer term for a person who hangs around the surfing scene but doesn't surf and doesn't really know how to surf. Usually they'll show up with their boards and just talk to people. It's annoying. So that's what he is. So I wanted to do him in a color that kind of represented somebody that was spending way too much time in the sun. And really not doing much else but sun. And boy, I'm telling you, yeah, it looks about right, right? That guy looks like he needs to go in the house for a minute. So let's see. Okay, here, hold on for a second. I got to figure this out. Okay, sorry, I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out how I was going to put them all on my drying rack. Let me show you this. So I wanted to make sure I had everything where I wanted them to be so I could paint some other stuff. So anyway, that's all that was. Sorry about that. So when I worked at the airport fueling airplanes, we were doing two 18-hour, we were doing two 16-hour shifts, which actually ended up being almost 18 hours a week on the ramp. And I swear I was out in the sun so much, I turned out a little bit lighter than this by the end of the summer. I'd actually gotten so dark that I had a couple of people who didn't recognize me at first. They were just like, oh, hey, buddy. And then they were like, holy crap, what have you been doing? So I know how dark even a pale person like me, I know how dark you can get if you spend a lot of time out in the sun. So, okay, and then we have his head. So we're just going to paint basically his ear and then just his face and his, most of his nose, I guess. We're actually probably going to come through here and do a little bit of detail. We're going to actually come through and do a lot of detail painting on his face. So again, like I said, this is just the generic kind of like base layer paint for him. Okay. Need to call that good. Okay, perfect. All right, so I guess that leaves us with the Coca-Cola box and the cans, and then the tree that goes on there. So I'm actually debating about doing the tree. So I think I'm going to be lazy and do the tree in the exact same color he is, but then we'll do a brown and tan wash over it, and that'll change up the color a lot, whereas he's pretty much done. So we could kind of change up the tree a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. And yes, I know some of you are at home going, wait a minute, I only counted one hand, one leg, and one foot. So I actually did as other ones earlier. I want to double check this color before I started spraying them, just to make sure it looked good. So if you thought I got through that a little too fast, you're right, I did. Okay, so the tree stump looks, or the post looks good. So we're going to let that sit, and we're going to let that dry, because now we have to come back in and start doing the detail work. Actually, I need to paint the Coke container. So I need to figure out if I'm going to do that in gloss or flat or base coat. So let me get that figured out, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on it. All right, so we got all our initial colors painted, and now we've let them sit for, well, I ended up letting them sit for a couple of days because I had a model show to go to and some stuff. So they sat for a little while, no big deal. Base coats, you can let them sit, they're fine. So what we're going to start doing now is, since we got our initial color done, we're going to start working our secondary colors, and we're going to mask all this stuff off because it's all flowing shapes and, you know, different surfaces. So we're going to do it with this liquid green mask, which we sell. It's pretty cool stuff. Comes with its own applicator brush, which you really can't see right there, but I'll show you that in a second. So we're just going to mask off his head here, or his face, I should say, not his whole head. But if you start out where you need to, you'll see if you start out just kind of glopping it on where it doesn't need to be really precise, you can start to see the brush. You can see that. So what you're going to do here is just come up and kind of work up to the line where you want the edge to be. And it will leave you with a nice line. So anyway, you can do that. You can come back in. You can bring your own brush. You could brush it on yourself if you wanted to do a finer line brush. I think for what I'm doing, just doing it this way is fine. I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably like really glop that on there and then just cut it and peel it off. You could do that too. Let it dry a little bit. Let me get rid of that. But yeah, so this is our liquid mask. Like I said, we sell this on our website. So if you like how this worked, yeah, just get on scalefinishes.com and come grab you some. I don't know if you can see that or not, but just kind of running the brush back up there. Okay, so I don't want to turn this into a 4-hour long video of me doing this. I think you get the idea. Let me finish this off real quick. Okay, and then I'll show you a little trick here. So I kind of goofed up and got it on his hair. So if you do that, all you got to do, I like to use my tweezers, which are tweezers we sell. And just come down and break that line. Then you can use your fingernails, or you can use like a toothpick or something, and then just kind of come in and wipe it off. Okay. So anyway, let that dry, as long as you get that edge broken before it sets up. You could come back in and let that dry. And that will just all scrape right back off. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but that is dried up enough that it's starting to lift off. Yeah, there we go. All right, you see how easy that just kind of balled up, and there we go. See? Okay, so let me finish this off, and I'll finish off. We need to do his feet for his sandals and his coat, because we need to paint his shorts and his chest, and then we'll get all that done, and we'll start painting. So when we come back, we'll be ready to start painting. Okay, so we've let the green liquid mask dry for a little while, so we're going to start on his sandals. So if you guys watch the Model A series, you're going to recognize the color I'm going to do the sandals in. Let me get this light kicked back on. There we go. I'm sure you recognize that cream color. So we're going to start with that. Oh, let me turn on the fan. Okay. Okay. So like always, just go over them, get them going. Okay, there's that. And let me grab the other one here and we'll get this going. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's those. Let me wash out the airbrush, and we'll come back and get some of these other colors done. Okay, so for the next bit, we're going to spray the beak and the feet on the stork, and he's just going to be RAL 1018. I got this in a single stage. That'll give it some gloss. I think it'll look pretty good for him. Okay, so we got them all masked off. Look, you can really see how well that green mask works. That's all dry. Okay. Oh yeah, that looks great. Perfect. Okay, and this feet done. Okay, there's that. Let me wash out the airbrush again, and we'll be back with another color. Okay, and now we're going to do the blue for his shorts. I'm doing that in RAL 5015 Sky Blue. Okay. Looks like he's just wearing a pair of cutoffs here, so I figured the jean color would be good. Okay, that'll be his shorts. We'll let that dry, and then we'll come back in and we'll spray his chest a different color. For now, I think we're going to do his hair. I think I'm going to do that in 817 white, and then I'm going to highlight it out with the same sand color yellow. Or actually, no, I take that back. We're going to do it in the same sand color we did the base, and then we're going to highlight it back off with some white. So let me get that all ready, and we'll get started on that. Okay, got the airbrush cleaned out, so now we're going to go over his hair with some of the 817. Okay, there's that. So let's see. So we got to let that dry to do the highlights on them, and then I guess we still got to do his chest. So let's clean out the airbrush and we'll get that going. All right, let's get his chest done here. I got a little bit ahead of myself. It started. Okay. So, yeah. It's gonna be cool, huh? All right. Yeah, looks like a guy that spent way too much time at the beach. Okay, let me what? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. So that's pretty much it for the paint work for him so far, as far as the major paint work goes. So let me show you this real quick. So green liquid mask, just rub on it a little bit, it'll start to come off. Once it starts to come off, just grab on it and just peel it. And it's going to do that, where it's going to leave that little film of dried paint. That's easy enough. Just take a brush. I have this big one, and just brush it off. It'll come right off. Okay. And sometimes it'll kind of want to jam up on you and give you some problems. Don't let it. Don't let it win. Anyway, just there you go. That's it. That's it for doing those. Let's see. I think his hair should be done enough to shoot the yellow on it, which I'm going to do here in just a second. Okay, see, that one came right off really nice. If you have to, you can come through and wipe it off with some of the tack cloth. That'll definitely take care of it. But yeah, you can see. So I'm going to come back in, and we're going to do a little bit of wash on the sandals so they don't look so super pristine nice. And we're going to kind of do a bit of probably a black wash over him. And so we're going to do a little bit of weathering is what I'm saying. But we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Let me put these aside. Then let me get the airbrush cleaned out, and we will spray his hair. All right, we got the airbrush cleaned out, so we're going to finish off his hair by lightly dusting it over with this RAL Sand Yellow, giving him literally sandy blonde hair. So you'd want to come in a little darker there. Okay, I think that looks good. Yeah, I like that. See, there you go. Then you can use a couple of colors you probably already have in your stash. Make something new out of it. Okay. So that's it for the paint work. So that's going to be it for this video, actually. So next video, we're going to do the decals on his coat, and we're going to do some very minor weathering on a couple of other items of him. And we are going to do some other little detail stuff. And we'll almost be done with them at that point. Now I know somebody's probably figured out by now I haven't done anything with the Coke cans or the case he's holding yet. That's still right here. It's still in primer, and I'm going to paint that in the next episode, I think, because I have to paint that and do some decal work on it. But I'm honestly, right at this point when I'm filming this, I'm not 100% sure what decals I'm using, so I'm still a little toss up between painting it white or red. The cans are going to be red with just the tops painted aluminum. I'm not going to do any decal work on them because I don't think you're going to really see it that well. But on the container he's holding, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. I have to go through and double check all my decals first. So anyway, that'll be on the next video. Thanks for watching this one. If you want to buy any of the paints I've used in this, you want to buy paints for anything else, some of the supplies we have, check them all out, scalefinishes.com. Use code YouTube10, you'll get 10% off anything you buy from us. And I will be back in the next video, and I'll see you then. Thanks.